we are suspending open and concealed carry. The purpose is to try to create a cooling off period while we figure out how we can better address public safety and gun violence. Now, I am sure as I go through the rest of this, there are going to be a lot of questions about whether or not we think we have the legal rights to do that.
But fundamentally, I don't think it passes constitutional muster and is likely to be struck down by one of the judges who are set to hear these cases.
So a TRO was just granted against the New Mexico governor order, which banned open and concealed carry in specific areas within the state. So we're going to talk about this, and also I have some important news for later in this video that you want to stay tuned for, because it has to do with a lawsuit that I'm involved, which is challenging the state of California's ban on concealed carry. But before we dive deeper into the madness of all the things that are going on right now with concealed carry in New Mexico and California, I just want to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee has amazing coffee, and they're huge Second Amendment supporters. They have dedicated roasts for 2A organizations like FBC and GOA, and if you purchase those roasts, some of the proceeds go directly to those organizations, so it's an amazing way to get some coffee and also support 2A organizations who are filing these lawsuits. So again, you can check out Blackout Coffee using the links down below, and also if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you can get 10% off of your order. So as I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about how the governor of New Mexico has gone completely tyrannical and decided to attack the right to carry. If you're not aware, last week, the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham, came out during a press conference and announced that she was issuing a public health executive order. Through this order, the governor is attempting to suspend the right to carry open and concealed for 30 days within the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and also the surrounding Bernalillo County. The governor claims that there is a statewide public health emergency which is tied to gun violence and then also drug abuse. Therefore, her office is asserting the unilateral power to suspend constitutional rights and impose what is essentially martial law within the specific areas of the state that meet a criteria that is set out in this order. What we are seeing is that a state governor is going completely tyrannical and is attempting to override the fundamental right to carry in public for self-defense. This overreach by the New Mexico governor has received significant pushback even within her own political party and her own administration. In fact, recently, the Attorney General for New Mexico came out saying that his office will not legally defend the governor's order. In his letter to the governor, the Attorney General stated that, "I am writing to inform you that my office will not defend your administration in the above referenced cases challenging the public health emergency order imposing temporary firearms restrictions. Though I recognize my statutory obligation as New Mexico's chief legal officer to defend state officials when they are sued in their official capacity, my duty to uphold and defend the constitutional rights of every citizen takes precedence. Simply put, I do not believe that the emergency order will have any meaningful impact on public safety, but more importantly, I do not believe it passes constitutional muster." Later in the letter, he goes on to say that the order is legally problematic because simply rebranding gun violence as public health emergency will not satisfy the heightened judicial standard for justifying the blanket prohibition against any citizen, regardless of criminal conduct or intent, from carrying a firearm for personal protection. Here in the letter, the AG is pointing out what I mentioned in a prior video, in the last video I did on this, which is saying that the law in question that is being used does not say that they can simply just ban concealed carry and target civil rights. You cannot just simply rebrand gun violence as a public health crisis and then completely ban carry. He closes the letter out by saying that my office cannot undertake a defense of the emergency order, and though we will provide a limited commission for your administration to defend these actions in the above referenced cases, I strongly encourage you to consider whether the time and energy dedicated to its defense might be better utilized in the development of comprehensive legislative responses. Now, to be clear, the AG here is not pro-gun. He is very much anti-gun, but even the Attorney General in this state recognizes how overbroad this order is, how unconstitutional it is, and therefore he's not going to stick his neck out to defend it. Also important is the fact that the Bernalillo County Sheriff there also stated that he will not enforce this order that the governor is putting in place, so she's getting the state police to potentially enforce it. And all this is coming to a head today with multiple lawsuits which are being heard and TROs are being heard in a New Mexico district court. Soon after the order was issued by the governor, you had organizations like NAGR, GOA, SAF, FBC, and others file lawsuits against the state of New Mexico. All of them are seeking some form of a TRO to immediately stop the governor from being able to enforce this order. I want to focus on the GOA lawsuit, but again, look at all the organizations, look at all their lawsuits. There are a ton of organizations who are jumping into this fight and are fighting for our right to keep and bear arms. Now, in the recent motion by GOA where they're requesting a TRO, they state that there is no defense to defendants' actions, legal, moral, or otherwise. Their actions clearly and unambiguously violate the Second Amendment's protection of the right to bear arms that shall not be infringed, and deprive law-abiding gun owners of their only means of self-defense from criminal attack while in public. For that reason, this court must end this unconstitutional charade before the train even leaves the station. To that end, because plaintiffs and thousands of others like them will suffer serious and irreparable harm, not only to their constitutional rights, but also potentially to their personal safety, plaintiffs request an immediate temporary restraining order be issued on an emergency basis, followed by a preliminary and then a permanent injunction. Moreover, GOA states that since there's literally nothing that the New Mexico government can put forward as a legal defense for what they are doing, they're requesting an ex parte court hearing and ex parte restraining order against the state of New Mexico. So GOA is seeking an immediate emergency TRO along with other organizations, and they're seeking to halt this public health order. They are also seeking a preliminary and permanent injunction in the future to prevent the governor from being able to do this again going forward. They're also seeking for the TRO to be issued on an ex parte basis, which essentially in the simplest terms means that the government should not even be able to put forward an argument, should not really be required to show up and present arguments or have the ability to put forward arguments because it's so unconstitutional. And like I mentioned, this all came to a head with a recent hearing that happened today, and that was a 1 p.m. hearing on a bunch of TROs in all these cases, the FPC case, the SAF case, I believe, the NAGR case, the GOA case, all these cases which were challenging the New Mexico governor's order, which prohibited carry both open and concealed within the state. Now, I'm not going to rehash all the things that happened at this hearing. Again, it was a consolidated hearing, but the punchline of all this is that the judge here did in fact grant a temporary restraining order against this order that was issued by the New Mexico governor. So we did win this case right here and now, at least for this time period, because the judge here, who was, left-leaning potentially, was a Biden appointee, this judge still did grant a TRO. And during the discussion, the judge stated very clearly that the state's attorney had an uphill battle, especially in light of Bruen. Now, some of the things that came out of this was, they talked about how Bruen pretty much addressed specifically what the governor's trying to do in this case. In Bruen, one of the things that Thomas said was that the state of New York could not simply make the entire island of Manhattan a prohibited place. And he said that type of restriction would clearly be unconstitutional. Well, that's exactly what the New Mexico governor did here with the city of Albuquerque and also this one specific county and potentially others. So under Bruen, the judge said that there was a likelihood of success on the merits that the plaintiffs have met. There are standards for a TRO, a likelihood of success on the merits, irreparable harm, and then a balancing of the public's interest. And the judge here said that at least for this TRO, the plaintiffs have met those burdens. Therefore, he granted a restraining order, which prohibits various aspects of this order from being enforced, specifically sections 1 and 4, I believe. And the judge is putting this restraining order in place for a period of time, which is going to be longer than 14 days because of some scheduling conflicts that the attorneys had. And so it's going to be a restraining order in place, at least for now. And then there's going to be a preliminary injunction hearing, which is going to take place really soon, which is going to be on October 3rd. And then there will be a decision on whether or not there will be some sort of injunction that will extend beyond the TRO. But as of right now, we got a significant win. This was a fast one because of clearly how big of an emergency this was, how significant of a constitutional burden this would be. And so the judge here did grant a TRO, and this order in the state of New Mexico has been halted, at least for now. While we're on the topic of unconstitutional concealed carry bans, I need to make an announcement, essentially giving you guys some information of something that recently happened. Last night, CRPA, along with GOA, SAF, and others, filed a lawsuit against the state of California and their new concealed carry ban that they passed through SB 2. I, along with Reno May and other individual plaintiffs, joined the lawsuit as named plaintiffs. One thing that I stated from the beginning is that I will never ask you guys to do anything that I'm not willing to do on my own. I have asked you guys in the past on the channel to join lawsuits as plaintiffs, to support these organizations. So when CRPA reached out to me and asked if I would join this lawsuit against California and become a plaintiff, I obviously said yes. Now, I'm not sure how much I'm going to cover this case on the channel, especially now that I'm a plaintiff. I don't know how much I'm going to cover this process, but just know that CRPA and these other orgs are going to be fighting tooth and nail to stop what California is doing with their carry ban, and they're going to fight this like they are fighting in the state of New Mexico. Now, if you want a breakdown of what SB2 does, I have videos on the channel, and I will link those down below if you want more information. Now, the basics surrounding this is that California, through this new law, will make it next to impossible for you to carry a concealed within the entire state because they put in place so many sensitive locations. The sensitive location restrictions in SB2 and that they're putting in place is so comprehensive that most streets, sidewalks, and businesses will be completely off limits. And this was all done in direct response to the Supreme Court's Bruin decision. Prior to Bruin, California had a may issue good cause standard. And what they ended up doing after Bruin is they saw that New York put in place the CCIA law, that New Jersey put in place a restrictive law. And so California is following suit. They want to put in place a hyper restrictive concealed carry scheme, make permitting and the whole process even harder, and essentially make it so that even if you get a permit, it's almost useless. Now, one of the positive things with all of this is that we've seen in cases like the Antonyuk case, which is the GOA lawsuit against the state of New York and the CCIA, there were positive outcomes at the district court level. And then you also have the New Jersey Coons case, which also was positive out of the district court in New Jersey. So we've received positive decisions out of district courts, even those areas that tend to be anti-gun. And hopefully this will be a similar situation with this lawsuit filed by CRP and the other organizations, myself and Reno as plaintiffs. Hopefully we can get this stopped against the state of California. But as you can see, one of the major battles going on right now is in relation to your right to carry. Some states continue to defy what the Supreme Court said in Bruin, what the Second Amendment says about your right to keep and bear arms. But in response, you are having amazing two-way organizations like CRPA, GOA, FBC, and others standing up, fighting for the people. And again, hopefully we can get a lot of these things struck down. A lot of you, I'm sure, will ask how you can help these lawsuits, how you can join the fight. I know some people maybe are going to ask if you can become a plaintiff in the lawsuit that I'm a plaintiff in. Right now, they are not seeking any more plaintiffs, but you could always become a plaintiff in future cases. So reach out to those organizations and also donate to those organizations. I will leave links down below to where you can donate to CRPA, GOA, and SAF, who are some of my favorite orgs to donate to, but always donating and helping these organizations to file these lawsuits is a major way you can contribute. But as always, if I get more information, I will let you all know. Also, if you like this video and you'd like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. As always, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.